Hey guys, Ms. Subin here, and today we're going to be talking about how to solve multi-step equations in their most basic form. Today we will use our understanding of two-step equations in order to solve for a missing value in a multi-step equation using inverse operations. This will feel very similar to what we did last week and the week before and the before that, but the thing that's new is that we're going to have multiple variable terms on opposite sides of the equation. So let's take a look at what that looks like in just a moment. Just a reminder as a vocabulary, when I say variable, I'm talking about the letter or the symbol, which here will be x. When I say coefficient, I'm talking about the number in front, so 3x, 3 is the coefficient. Constant, that's a number without a variable, so like -7. And a term is a chunk of information. There are variable terms like 4x, and there are constant terms where it's just a number like 5. So here's the first equation that we're going to solve in just a minute, but how I know this is different from last week is that we have an equation that has more than one variable term. Our variable terms in this problem are 5x, which is positive, and 7x, which even though it doesn't say it, is positive. Before we would just put these together and say 5x and 7x made 12x, but we cannot do that today because of this wall down the middle of our equation. We're going to have to use different steps here to solve. We cannot just put these together. All right, so step 1, solve any distributive property. We don't have any of that today. Step 2, combine like terms. We will not worry about that today. Step 3, identify the variable terms in the problem. Move the smaller value to the other side of the equation. So basically, we have two sides of our equation here because of our equal sign. And we have two variable terms. We have the positive 5x and we have a positive 7x, but they're on opposite sides. So instead of combining them, we're going to get rid of the worst one. So looking at our options, we have 5x and we have 7x. The one that is worse would be 5x because 5 is less than 7. How we can get rid of 5x is by subtracting 5x from itself. Any number minus itself is going to equal 0 and it goes away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that 5x on one side and I need to subtract 5x from the 7x so that I stay balanced. By doing this, we get rid of one of the variable terms and we're left with an equation that we're used to solving. So 5 is just 5 now. 7x minus 5x is 2x, and then we still have plus 1. I like this equation better because I just have one variable term. By getting rid of the 5x, we actually made it so that there was no 5x or no x's on one side of the equation. Now we can solve this like normal. The constant is the 1. So for this one, I'm going to find my variable term and subtract the 1, since the 1 is on the same side but is not part of that term. 5 minus 1 is 4. 2x plus 1 minus 1 is 2x. Divide by 2. I'm left with 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2x divided by 2 is just x. So 2 equals x or x equals 2. Since the equal sign, we can change the order. And if you have time, you can do a check by plugging back in, but we're not going to worry about that for today. Example 2. So let's try another one. Finding the middle of my equation, I see that I have two variable terms. I have a negative 2x and a negative 6x. They are on opposite sides of the equation, so we cannot just put them together. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the one that I consider smaller or worse. We have negative 2 and we have negative 6. Which would be worse? Owing someone 2 of something or owing someone 6 of something? They're both negative, so we owe something. Which is worse, to owe 2 or to owe 6? It's worse to owe 6 of something, so we're going to get rid of this negative 6 by adding 6x to both sides. I don't know what negative 6x is equal to, but if I add 6x, that's going to be 0. So I'm going to add 6x to the other side, and let's write what we get when we do this. Negative 2x plus 6x, that's negative 2 plus 6, is 4x. We'll keep the plus 7 exactly where it is. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0, it goes away. And then we still have positive 27, but I'm lazy and I'm just going to write 27. Now I have an equation that I know how to solve like I normally do. I'm going to find my variable term. There's only one of them now, which is why I like this better. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I get 4x plus 7 minus 7, which is just 4x. 27 minus 7, which is 20. Divide by 4 on both sides. I get x equals 20 divided by 4, which is exactly 5. So we're just adding a step to the beginning of our equation that will make it a little bit harder to solve. And let's try another one. So again, I'm going to find the middle of my equation, and I'm going to find my variable term. Well, in this one, I have two variable terms. We have x and we have negative 4x. Since they're on opposite sides of the equation, we can't just put them together like we did last week. So instead, I'm going to identify the one that is worse. We have x and we have negative 4x. Well, x is the same as having 1x, which is positive. Would you rather have 1x or lose 4 of something? So your choices are to have 1 of something or to lose 4 of something. Which one is worse? In this case, it is worse to lose 4 of something than to have 1 of something. So since the negative 4 is worse than the positive 1, I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Because adding 4x gets rid of that negative 4x. 1x plus 4x is 5x. The 10 stays in the same place and stays positive. And the 40 stays in the same place. When I go to look at my variable term, I now just have 5x. I have one variable term, that's what we want. Subtract 10, which leaves me with 5x. 40 minus 10 is 30. Finally, divide by the coefficient. You're left with x equaling 6. Hopefully you're starting to get the hang of it. Let's do one more. Negative x plus 4 equals negative 5x plus 28. Let's find the middle of our equation, and let's find our variable terms, negative x and negative 5x. Since they're on opposite sides of the equation, we can't put them together. So instead, we need to get rid of one of these variable terms. We can get rid of a term by adding its opposite. So here, we just have to decide which one we want to get rid of. Let's get rid of the one that's worse. Is it worse to lose 1 of something, because negative x is negative 1x, or is it worse to lose 5 of something? Is it worse to owe 1 of something or worse to owe 5 of something? It's worse to owe 5 of something, so we're going to get rid of this negative 5x by adding 5x, because a negative 5 and a positive 5 cancel. Whatever I do on one side, I'm going to have to do on both. Negative x plus 5x gives me 4x, because this is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. I'll keep my 4 in the same place. Negative 5 and positive 5 go away. And then 28 stays in the same side of the equation. Let me find my variable term and get rid of that positive 4 because it's not part of that side. 4x plus 4 minus 4 is 4x. 28 minus 4 is 24. Finally, divide by that coefficient and you get x equals 6. At this point, you're going to go ahead and keep doing the lesson however I said during the class today. But at this point, good luck.